This video was brought to you by Embedded System Solution, a company composed of like-minded electrical engineers, computer engineers, and computer scientists, and whose main goal is assisting our engineering customers, non-engineering customers, and technician level customers with their electrical and computer engineering level and technician level needs. Our customers range everywhere from engineering students to university professors, technicians to engineers, junior engineers to senior engineers. Please feel free to visit us at www.embeddedsystemsolution.com. Again, www.embeddedsystemsolution.com, or better yet, email us at support@embeddedsystemsolution.com. And like always, don't forget to subscribe to our channel and like. Okay, so again, now I don't know if I'm gonna add this. I don't know exactly how I'm gonna organize this, so if it's a little confusing, I apologize ahead of time. But now we're gonna revert back to the file system, the file perspective. We're gonna go a little bit more into detail into each file. What is it? The exit password file and the shadow file. What is it that is inside of it, so that whenever you're editing it with a command line utilities, what is it exactly that's going on? What's underneath the hood, right? Not just tell these are the 3 files that get edited to add an account. These are the 3 files that need to be modified or edited to add an account, but actually what's inside of each file, right? And so let's start out with the password file. So what does it mean whenever I'm moving this, the 3 little users? Well, the password file is actually shared between all users. So not only can this is something important, right? Not only can the computer admin see the file, but also the regular user accounts, the other users, they can also see the file. So that's something unique. That's different from the shadow file. So again, every single user account has to have an account in the password file, right? But what is exactly in the password file? Well, you could grab Notepad and open it and see it and take a glance at it. But surprise, surprise, every single user account in the computer system, in the computer, it has it has a slot in there. It has I forgot the word, but it has an account right there, so it has an entry. That's what I'm looking for. It has an entry in the password file. So in this case, so you can see in this case, it has 3 users, right? On top of the admin, the computer admin. So username, no surprise, that's the username that you use whenever you log in. That's the name that's supposed to be there, right? And so if a person wants a particular username, he can request to the computer admin, or the computer admin can generate based on his first name, last name, middle name, which is what I've done with as a computer admin for accounts in a school system. So anyways, so it tells you the rules that it should be between 1 and 32 characters length, right? Now the password, that's something unique. In the old days, the password used to be stored there. It's not the case anymore. The password is actually stored in the shadow file. So the X character indicates that the password is not stored there. So in a new computer system, a new Linux system, you should see X's all the way through, right? Because you don't want to store the password there. You actually want to store it in a separate file, which would be the shadow file. Now the UID, of course, is the user ID. It's a unique ID. It's from 1 to 99. Nothing special. Group ID. So this has to do whenever that user creates a file. So in Linux, whenever not anybody can create a file nilly-willy. Everybody that creates a file, that file is permanently tied to the person that created that file. Now there are some tricks that you can change it, right? But the user, generally the group ID tells you who created it. So the geckos is just a custom message, an ASCII string that you can add to it. You can add to the user, be as descriptive as you want. Now the home directory, that's where we were talking about in the previous slide, that we were talking about the file system perspective. Well, this is the file perspective. This tells you where, remember that I was talking about that every single user account has its own directories, like downloads, desktop, documents, videos. That's where it tells you the path of where you can find it. So every single user has a path in terms of the user folders, the home directory of the user. That's what I'm looking for. That's the home directory. Now you see why we talked about the file system, because that has to do with it. Every single user has a home directory, and again, all the applications get their files, the files that the applications generate get stored right there. So anyways, the login shell. It turns out there's different shells that you can use in terms of the command line. I think the default is bash, if I'm not mistaken. You know, other people like other type of shells. That's the one that I used. You know, so anyways, so we already described the password file. Okay, so now we're gonna go to the shadow file. Now notice how all the users dropped, right? And there's a reason behind that. The reason why the users got dropped is because the shadow file, the only person that should be able to see it is the computer admin. And so, and there's a reason behind that, right? And so let's see the contents of the shadow file. So as you can imagine, you know, of course, this is password sensitive information. And I don't know if I show it right here. I believe but anyway, so of course it renames the username, right? So every single account that's in the computer has to have an entry in this file. And it's not exactly a table, by the way. So maybe I should have mentioned in the previous password. It's not a table. It's just easier for me to display it, to show it that in a table wise. But so every user has an entry. Of course, every single user has an entry here. And of course, the username is the same name as in the password. Password, that would be the encrypted. So yeah. This is something important. This will be shown in terms of this. This is really touching on subjects of cryptography, and how is it that whenever you enter the username and the password, whenever you log into the computer, not remotely log in, but even as applicable remotely log in, but whenever you log into the computer, obviously the password that you're entering has to be compared to an existing password that the computer has. And the question that you should be asking, or at least I was asking whenever I was learning this, is it's comparing my password that I just entered to a password that's stored in the computer. What happens if somebody grabs the shadow file? Can't they not see my password? Because you have to have a computer compared one password to another. The one when you log in, the one that you enter as the password, and it makes you wonder is because, you know, like I think everybody does this, you know, put your username, your password for your bank, for your ATM, for your school, for your basically see your income tax or your retirement money, for all the accounts that you create. Tell me not, don't you not use the same username and the password? So if someone steals it, if someone somehow has access to it, you know, so that's one of the safety mechanisms. That's why one of the safety mechanisms that then the computer admin is the only one that can see it, right? And so, but it turns out that it's not in plain text, you know. So after I found out, I was like, oh, okay. It turns out that the password before it's stored is actually hashed, and hash means something, and we're gonna cover that in the future video, and that's pretty cool. I enjoyed the hash subject. But what ends up happening when you enter the password is your password is actually hashed, and that hash password is compared to the stored hash password. And the reason why you want to do that is in case someone gets access to this file, somehow uses it, even though you can see the entries in the password, they're hashed. And so it doesn't do you any good to see the hash value. You need to know the password to convert the hash, you know. So again, this isn't making sense, but there's another video where I really go in depth into hashing. So anyways, so of course it's going to tell you the last time that the password is changed, the minimum number of days required the password to change, the days before you let the user is allowed to change the password again. So of course the maximum, you know, the warning, when is it that the system, whenever you're trying to log in, it warns the user, number of days the password expires, that the account is disabled, and expire, you know. So most of it is self-explanatory in terms of the shadow file. So I believe that is it. So again, every single user that you add gets an entry into this file. And so again, so we covered the Linux user account, the 3 perspectives, the file perspective, the command line perspective, and the file system perspective. Now we're moving on to the next, which is the virtual terminal connection, VTC, you know. So thank you, bye.